So, Jimmy Kimmel threatened to beat a guy up last night, which is leftism in a nutshell. First, they get all teary-eyed and emotional, then they hector you, and if that doesn't work, they resort to violence. We'll talk about why it always works that way. Also, Dr. Helen Smith will be here to talk about modern sex and what it's doing to us, and the stuff I like, great directors who started with terrific small crime films. But first, I thought this would be a good day to cover some of the stupid news stories you might have missed because you have a life and don't want to sit around reading stupid news stories. First of all, there was sports radio host Clay Travis, who shocked CNN anchorwoman Brooke Baldwin by saying on air that the two things he believed in completely were the First Amendment and boobs. CNN journalists were united in condemning Travis's remark, saying that it was crude and disgusting to publicly praise the First Amendment, which apparently allows conservatives to just go around saying whatever they want, which CNN believes should be illegal. Personally, when I heard what Travis said, that he said he loved boobs, I thought he was referring to all CNN journalists, though Brooke Baldwin does have a pretty nice rack. Then there's the story of the protest march on Washington by juggalos and juggalettes. Now, you may ask, what are juggalos and juggalettes? Or, more likely, you don't care, but I'll explain anyway. Juggalos and juggalettes are the guys and girl fans of a hip-hop band called Insane Clown Posse. Insane Clown Posse are two men who call themselves Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope. So you know they're terrific. They sing hip-hop songs with lyrics like the one about a guy who went to prison and his girlfriend slept around and thus gave him genital warts, and now he's going to blow her kneecaps off and then strangle her to death. So you know they're terrific. Anyway, the Obama administration, and what may be the only useful thing they ever did, classified these fans as a street gang, and the juggalos and juggalettes wanted that designation revoked. So there was a juggalo-juggalette protest march on Washington, D.C., and you still don't care. Finally, all of us were charmed by a hard-working 11-year-old boy named Frank, who offered to mow the White House lawn and got his chance. If that wasn't cool enough, as Frank was mowing, the President of the United States came out to greet him, but the kid was so intent on doing a good job, he didn't even take notice. Frank says he wants to grow up to be a Navy SEAL. I think it's safe to say that just about everyone in America loves this little guy, except Stephen Greenhouse, who used to work for the New York Times. The former labor reporter for the former newspaper tweeted that President Trump was sending a bad signal on child labor, minimum wage, and occupational safety by letting the boy mow the lawn. Fortunately, since Greenhouse did used to work for the Times, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Labor laws do allow children to do chore-like jobs like mowing lawns. But even if they didn't, Greenhouse would still be a knucklehead who ought to stuff a sock in his mouth to protect himself from his own stupidity. But then, without stupidity, the New York Times would just be a bunch of blank pages. And that's the stupid news. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shape, tipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it? Where's the hammer? Is it on the... Go up on the other floor. Somebody go up there and stop the hammering. Stop the hammering.
That is Lawrence. That is Lawrence O'Donnell on MSNBC. That is Lawrence O'Donnell on MSNBC. It's an 8-minute video of him just going on. Guy, you know, he needs to relax. I think what he needs is some single... Oh, okay. All right. I was going to say that he needed some single nostril breathing. We wanted to go into Hillary Clinton. Anyway, you know, I want to be fair to Lawrence O'Donnell, though. This does happen to people, right? I mean, we all try to be decent and everything. But the other day, Michael Knowles did a segment. He got a few minor things wrong, and I actually went off on him, and we caught that on video. Yeah. So here's the video. Just to be fair to Lawrence O'Donnell, here's me going off on Michael Knowles.
I want that son of a dead. I want him dead. I want him dead. I don't care. What am I alone in this world? Did I ask you what you're trying to do? Did I ask you what you're trying to do?
I want you to get this where he breathes. I want you to find this Nancy boy. I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burnt to the ground. I want to go to the middle of the night. I want to cut his head.
Knowles took it well. I think he needs some single nostril breathing. Could he?
But you know, you do hold and you breathe through one and you hold it and then you exhale through the other and you keep going.
I'm just going to do this for 45 minutes. All right. We have Dr. Helen Smith here today, who wrote a great book called Men on Strike, and she is a psychologist who She's actually a psychologist who specializes in forensic issues in Knoxville, Tennessee, but she talks a lot about the relationships between men and women, and we're going to talk to her about whether there is a crisis in sexual relations. She will come on after we say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube. So if you want to listen to her, you got to come over to thedailywire.com, but really, you should just subscribe. Then you can watch the whole thing on thedailywire.com. It's a lousy $10 a month, and for a year, it's a lousy $100 a month, plus the Leftist Tears The Leftist Tears tumbler. The tumbler. It's not a mug. It's a tumbler. It's because you need a lot of cup to catch all the leftist tears. It refills every time Donald Trump speaks. And Ben Shapiro is off again, right? It's Rosh Hashanah. Happy New Year. Usually I think Shapiro just makes these holidays up. You know, it's Chana and the you know, it's like, I got to take 3 days off. I'm going to the beach. You know, so my people, we go to the beach every. But no, happy New Year. This is, and it's only days after Talk Like a Pirate Day, right? Talk Like a Pirate Day. I was out there and I was saying, you know what? I need MeUndies. I need MeUndies. That's because it's true. MeUndies are a new kind of underwear. It's a website where you can go on and select all kinds of different underwear, differently made for men and women for obvious reasons that I hope I don't have to go into if you're adults. But these things are so soft. They make it out of a material that is 3 times softer than cotton. It really is. You can feel it. It's just an amazing thing. I use them. I love to hike in them because it just is so comfortable going up and you just really stop thinking about them. It's a 100% satisfaction guarantee. They guarantee you will love MeUndies or you'll get your money back. I just imagine that this is why they did it. So right now, MeUndies has an exclusive offer just for my listeners. You get 20% off your first pair and free shipping. And MeUndies is so sure you'll love their underwear. They even offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. You order a pair, and if you don't love your first pair, get a full refund. I don't even think you have to send it back because no one's going to wear it after you wore it. So, but it's not going to happen, so you don't have to worry about it. This is a no-brainer. 20% off, free shipping, 100% satisfaction guarantee. Why wouldn't you try it? I mean, come on. It's a good reason to try it. To get your 20% off free shipping and 100% satisfaction guarantee and get the best and softest underwear you will ever own, go to MeUndies.com/Klavan.
How do you spell that, matey?
MEUN. Oh, Klavan. KLAVAN. That's MeUndies. MeUndies.com/Klavan. This is a limited time offer, so don't wait. Start wearing the best underwear of your life. It really is. It's incredibly, incredibly comfortable. It's time to let MeUndies change your life. Go to MeUndies.com/Klavan right now. So Jimmy Kimmel, first Kimmel goes on and he talks about his son who has his baby son had to have open heart surgery, and he cries, and it's very moving. But he uses this event to sell Obamacare, right? We need Obamacare because I'm not sure what the logic was there. Oh, because some people don't have insurance. Not everybody's making $35 million a year like Jimmy Kimmel is. So he cries, and it's like, oh, now we need Obamacare because he's crying. And by the way, obviously, we all hope and pray that Jimmy Kimmel's son is all right. Ben Shapiro's daughter, I think it was, had the exact same operation with the exact same doctor. Ben Shapiro is not for Obamacare. Ben Shapiro would like, so it's actually your emotions don't actually mean anything. You know, even though you have emotions, even though we have tragedies in our lives, that doesn't make us specialists in what kind of health care is best for America. So when that didn't work and the Republicans are still trying to repeal, or they're not going to repeal it, they're going to change Obamacare, move some of the funding to the states, which hopefully would let the laboratory of federalism do good work and change the way this collapsing law will be administrated. So then he goes on, he starts hectoring you. We played that yesterday. Instead of doing his monologue, he's just sitting there screaming at people about the Republicans. You know, it's just like that. That's what we want after a long day, is we want to see a late night comedian come on and scream at us about, you know, what he thinks is the healthcare should be. So now Brian Kilmeade, the guy on Fox and Friends, comes out and says fairly mildly, you know, he says, this is the Hollywood elite. They're always pushing this thing, you know, the Hollywood elite always want, even though they're not watching the Emmy. Now, here is Jimmy Kimmel's response to Brian Kilmeade.
And the reason I found this comment to be particularly annoying is because this is a guy, Brian Kilmeade, who whenever I see him, kisses my ass like a little boy meeting Batman. Oh, he's such a fan. I think he's been to the show. He follows me on Twitter. He asked me to write a blurb for his book, which I did. He calls my agent looking for projects. He's dying to be a member of the Hollywood elite. The only reason he's not a member of the Hollywood elite is because nobody will hire him to be one. And, you know, the reason I'm talking about this is because my son had an open heart surgery and has to have 2 more. And because of that, I learned that there are kids with no insurance in the same situation. I don't get anything out of this, Brian, you phony little creep. Oh, I'll pound you when I see you. That is my blow.
So that's Kimmel going off saying, I'll pound you when I see you. And the audience is applauding for this. He's threatening this guy basically for criticizing him. And the audience is applauding. Yeah, pound this guy. He said something, he disagreed with you. You know, you got to pound this guy. So just before I get on to this, I want to let Brian Kilmeade respond, because he responded to all those charges on his show. Have we got Kilmeade?
Hope your son gets better. I hope your son gets all the care he needs. I'm glad you're interested. You're causing the you're doing a great job bringing the dialogue out, but you should actually do what we're doing. Talk to the people that wrote it. Yeah, Senator Graham, Senator Cassidy, asking tough questions to Michael, and we'll see where we go from here. About me and you personally, yeah, I did this thing called Request an Interview for an up-and-coming talk show host who did a great job on Fox Sports. And even when you weren't getting great ratings, I thought you and the show was excellent. When I was at American Idol across the street at the finale, I walked over at least 2 years, maybe 3 years, and you were kind enough to give an interview to me. I thought the pieces went great. I didn't kiss your butt. I thought you did a good job, and I thought I'd highlight behind the scenes on an up-and-coming talk show. As you trying to get you to blurb the book, a little mistaken. I actually tried to get you in this book in 2003. It's How You Play the Game. The games do count. 2 books back to back. I wanted to focus on people in sports and how it helped them later on in life.
So there's Kilmeade answering this. But the thing is, no matter what he said, it wasn't like hate speech. It wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like he was screaming at Jimmy Kimmel. He said, you know, this guy is a Hollywood elite and he's pushing this thing on us. And Kimmel responds with basically a threat of violence. I'm not saying it's an actual real threat of violence, but it was pretty real. I'm going to pound this guy, and the audience applauds. I just want to point out, obviously, Jimmy Kimmel is not the biggest story in the world, but this is the left in a nutshell. This is the pattern of the left. First, they come out with their sob story. And there are sob stories in the world. There are real sob stories. But the answer to every sob story is not more government. The answer to every sob story is not, we get to take this segment of your life over and we now get to control your life. Because when the government takes over healthcare, as you see everywhere it has been done, they get to control your healthcare. They get to say, well, you did this, so we don't have to give, you're too old for healthcare. They get death panels, basically. They get to say, you are not going to, we're not going to give you any more healthcare because the state can't afford it. So they have that power. Everything they give you comes at a price. So they start with the emotionalism. When people don't buy into the emotionalism, when that doesn't stop the train, excuse me, they start to hector you. You know, it's like, what's wrong? You know, you're a climate denier, you're this denier, you're that, you're a racist, you're this. When that doesn't work, they threaten you with violence. And this is, you know, this is like Antifa. When they can't silence, I'm sorry, I'm choking to death. It's the hammering. It's all the hammering that's bothering me.
Stop the hammering!
It's like, yeah. You know, guy needs to calm down. I think he needs a little single nostril breathing. That's okay, maybe not. I don't know. All right.
But you know, you do hold, and you breathe through one, and you hold it, and then you exhale through the other, and you keep going.
Never mind. You know, it's like Antifa. When they can't stop people, when after they start with, oh, the poor this, oh, the poor minorities, oh, the poor women, oh, the poor this. And when people say, yeah, but, you know, really, they have to take care of themselves just like everybody else, then they start to hector you. You know, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're this, you're that. When that doesn't work, Antifa turns up and beats you up. When people like Ben Shapiro still turn up on campus and make their speeches, Antifa shows up. There was a poll recently, 51% of students, of college students, agree that it's all right to shout down speakers. 20% say it's okay to commit violence in response to words. And 44% say hate speech isn't protected by the First Amendment. I mean, they actually don't know what they're talking about. So they're not just angry and violent, they're actually ignorant. So why is it like this? It's like this because the things they do don't work, and the things they do strip the power of the people. They're unconstitutional almost always. There's nothing in the Constitution that gives the government the right to take over our health care, to take over our insurance market like this. You know, the insurance market bought into this because basically they said, we're going to force people to buy your product, and so it'll be great. But of course, it's not great because they cover pre-existing conditions. This is the whole problem with Kimmel's argument, by the way, is that the reason people don't have health insurance is they don't get health insurance when they're healthy. When your wife is pregnant, you insure the baby. You know, you shouldn't go into being parenthood without being insured for catastrophic illnesses. So, you know, Obama has destroyed the insurance market. He's taken it over. This is what this is fascism. Communism is where the state runs everything. Fascism is where they let the company run things, but they tell it what to do. And so when things go wrong, the company gets the blame, but the company really has no freedom. And that's why people are pulling out of this all over the place. So when people will not allow their fantasy to continue, they get violent. That is the way this works. So, I mean, we're seeing everything the left tells us, everything they sell us turns out to be untrue. So remember when Trump said that he had been wiretapped in Trump Tower, and there's, oh, he was lying. They actually had on CNN, they had like chyrons. Trump lies, you know, Trump lies. They had James Clapper on, the former director of national intelligence, right? So let's just go back in time for a minute. James Clapper sits in front of, I believe it was the Senate committee, and he lies about NSA gatherings. So this is Clapper in 2013. I'll tell you which number it is. It's number 6. In 2013, and here he is lying in front of the Senate. Yes.
So what I wanted to see is if you could give me a yes or no answer to the question, does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
It does not.
Not wittingly. There are cases where they could inadvertently, perhaps, collect, but not wittingly.
Okay, so now we know this is untrue, right? We know there's this huge program where they were collecting all this information, all this data. So now in March, he's on Meet the Press, and they ask him whether it's possible that they ask him whether there were any FISA taps on Trump, and what is it possible Trump is telling the truth? So this is cut 5.
Obviously, I can't speak officially anymore, but I will say that for the part of the national security apparatus that I oversaw as DNI, there was no such wiretap activity mounted against the president-elect at the time, or as a candidate, or against his campaign. I can't speak for other Title III authorized entities in the government or a state or local entity.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if the FBI, for instance, had a FISA court order of some sort for a surveillance, would that be information you would know or not know?
Yes.
You would be told this?
I would know that.
If there was a FISA court order
Yes.
on something like this?
Something like this, absolutely.
And at this point, you can't confirm or deny whether that exists?
I can deny it.
Okay, so now it's a guy we already know he lies, right? Now he denies this thing, and now CNN comes out with an exclusive report saying that there was, in fact, an FBI FISA wiretap on Paul Manafort, who was, for briefly, Trump's campaign manager, who lives in Trump Tower, who undoubtedly spoke with Trump, and it's not just him. I mean, they were wiretap. They tapped Trump advisors Carter Page, Michael Flynn, and all these guys. So now Don Lemon has Clapper on and says, you want to, confirm what you said? And Clapper keeps saying, I confirm it, but he really doesn't. Here he is.
Is it possible the president was picked up in a conversation with Paul Manafort?
It's certainly conceivable. Yeah,
is it likely?
I can't say. I wouldn't want to go there, but I will say it's possible.
I mean, the left is living in a fantasy world, and every time something breaks through it, that's when they get violent. Now there's a report that Samantha Power, the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, was unmasking people, when they would tap your phone, and you would get caught up in this conversation. An American would get caught up in a conversation that was being legally tapped. You're not supposed to unmask that. Samantha Power, she was the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. She had no reason to unmask anybody. She was unmasking at such a rapid pace in the final months of the Obama administration that she averaged more than one request for every working day in 2016. These guys were running a game on the Trump campaign. The government of the United States was running a game on a candidate for president. We're going to come back and talk about this if we have time, but Dr. Helen Smith is with us. We got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube. If only you had subscribed. If only you had subscribed, you could see the whole thing on thedailywire.com. Now you can listen to it. If you subscribe for a year, you get the Leftist Tears Tumblr. Come on over to the Daily Wire and hear Dr. Helen Smith.